5 shocking revelations from the J. Slater inquest, including cause of death and missing witnesses. An inquiry into the death of J. Slater has revealed shocking new details about his tragic disappearance and the sad discovery of his body from a ravine a month later.
Have a look at these images from coffeeandbackpack.com. They present magnificent views from Muscat to the beckoning blue sea. Looks simple, doesn't it? Looks close, doesn't it? Looks straightforward, doesn't it? Well, as I found out, looks, especially in the rugged terrain of the north, can be very, very deceiving.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science. Now, before I even visited Tenerife, before I set foot on a trail, I suspected Jay was lured to his death not by someone, but by something. Something as harmless, apparently, as a thought. I want to start off by saying, when traveling for the first time somewhere, it's easy to depend on Google Maps for 100% of your navigation. But when you don't have a signal, or worse, you don't have signal and don't have any battery, well, you have to rely either on someone else's wits or on your own wits. Now, the problem in Tenerife, and I had the same problem, is you ask some of the locals for directions and you think you understand them only to find out, well, I guess I misunderstood, because you're off track, you're not where you're supposed to be. It's not always so easy to get out of the gear where you rely almost completely on your phone, which is a marvelous gadget when it works, to relying on somebody else, on their directions, a local, to relying on yourself, thinking critically, doing all the calculations you need to be doing. And, when even if you can rely on yourself in a environment that's unfamiliar to you, well, it can feel about as useful as a fish trying to ride a bicycle. When you don't know where you are, making a decision one way or another is not particularly sensible. All you can really do is try to use common sense. In this video, I'm going to show you a hike I did, how I got into trouble, and what my experiences were. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you find this analysis worthwhile, please do hit the thanks button, and let's get started. Now, to be clear, the hike I did wasn't in Muscat, but it was in the very rugged northern part of the island, and if anything, where I was not as isolated, but arguably even more rugged than Muscat. The Roque Bermejo ravine is also very similar to the Muscat Gorge, plunging black cliffs, on again, off again, streams at the bottom. But most of all, even though the sea is less than 2 horizontal kilometers away, almost all of that is stepping or stumbling down steep, uneven sections. So although it's not that far away, the part that is easy to miss is you're not only going horizontally forward, you need to be going down as well, and that makes it further than the horizontal distance. Now, during my first attempt to hike to the coast, I actually took a wrong turn, and during this, I left the main path. I didn't know I was leaving it, and I continued hiking for several minutes, only to face steep drops on all sides. And the impression that, is that sort of bit of barren earth, is that a path? It is a little bit steep down there, but can I go down there? And when I realized my mistake, I was very reluctant to turn back, because that meant scrambling up and back all the way that I'd come. And that's not something you really want to do. You also don't want to admit a mistake. But I must say, going off a path anywhere in the world is no big deal. But here, in this terrain, it is extremely dangerous. It's not just me saying so. Several signs on the path said so as well. These signs highlighted areas of particular danger. It was probably after 30 minutes of hiking that I wandered off the trail, and I suspect Jay fell shortly after, perhaps no more than 45 minutes after he'd started his hike towards the beckoning blue sea. Now, hiking is a risk. When I started out, it started to rain and the sky was very grey and foreboding. And this was arguably my J. Slater moment on the Roque Bermejo trail. It's raining, it's cold. I didn't even bring anything warm. I just had a T-shirt like Jay did himself. And, the signs around me were saying that the ravine I was in floods and is dangerous when it rains, and yet I persisted. Why? Well, I really wanted to get to the sea. I knew it was close by. I was lured as well by the sea peeking at me constantly from just over the dark V of rocks on the horizon. Around the next corner it was invariably closer, but still a long way down. Since the distances weren't vast, I allowed the rain the opportunity to completely wet the rocks underfoot. They were starting to just, have a few drops on them, and I thought, by the time these rocks are slick, then I think I'm not going to go any further away from home base, and then I'm going to see where I stand. And so it didn't look very good. The drizzle gave way to harder rain, and it really did seem sensible to stop and turn back. And I did start looking around me at overhanging rock to shelter under. But you know what? At the end of the day, recklessly I persisted, and I was lucky. As luck would have it, the rain gave way, and some minutes later the sun even broke through. But Jay was not so lucky. I should also say, taking photos or worse video while navigating these fairly vertiginous and often slippery rocks is a recipe for falling. Now, if you want to make an already treacherous hike even more treacherous, well, look through your phone while you are walking along. And there are just plenty of opportunities to stumble. There are plenty of drops to fall down. Also, there is no signal when hiking, so even if your phone is operational, good luck getting out of a scrape, especially if you're out there like Jay was, like I was, by yourself. And when I hiked the Roque Bermejo, I'm probably mispronouncing it, the idea of turning back means you have to head uphill. It's uphill all the way, so being lured by the sea seems kind of natural, kind of going with the flow. When I made it down to the bottom, wow, what a moment. It was really beautiful. There was a small settlement down below, even a small restaurant and a beach. And, this coal black beach and snow white foam was a fine and quite picturesque reward for my effort. Of course, if Jay persisted towards the sea, he would have found a whole lot of nothing. I'm not going to take it further than that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.